Welcome, reality designers. Deni Van here with Hypnosis by Design podcast. I want to navigate the topic of this not self in human design. So, as someone who studies and does chart readings for human design and also teaches hypnosis and self hypnosis, combining the two, there's a lot of talk about this not self as just being the one thing. For example, manifestors. I can speak for myself. My not self is anger. I totally recognize it. I can feel when it's coming. However, I do now have the tools and techniques and the self hypnosis programming to integrate that and not let it react as opposed to me sitting with it and then responding. What I've recognized is just that within the not self of anger, there are many masks. So if you're a generator, your not self is frustration. You feel frustration coming on. You know you're not in alignment with your true self. However, with that comes many masks. So we wear these masks, we take them on and put them off, the different ones throughout the day. But there's one mask that all of us have. So I want to examine how the not self themes like the judge, the procrastinator, the people pleaser. I'm pointing to myself if you're listening and not seeing the video. People pleaser, the victim, the controller. So, and many more archetypes. So these are archetypes, and these archetypes are meant to be set up for our survival. But what we're never taught to do is how to integrate and find the gift and then come back to our own center, our own path, our own energy, not selves, these masks, if you will, set the stage. And the importance of embracing our true selves to achieve success. And I'm finding when we allow these masks to come in, they block our success. And it's really done unconsciously. The not self in human design refers to behaviors that don't match your individual true nature and inner authority. So, my individual, I'm going to give you a sentence of my human design, which might tell you a lot about me, or it might tell you absolutely nothing about me. I am a 5-1 emotional manifester, single definition, left angle cross of education. And I have the 2247 gates channels and rhythm. I also have the rhythm channels. And this tells you a lot about my unconscious being the 5-1. The one part is unconscious and all that go with the one, and the five, which is conscious. So, what I've had to do with my not self, which is the heretic, because there's negative connotations, there's all kinds of negative energy associated with that word. And it really came up in me when I started to discover my own human design. But this not self has a whole bunch of masks that are not me. And I started thinking about when we operate from these masks or this conditioning, what happens to our inner authority? I love Shakespeare. And that quote got my unconscious one thinking. So the quote I'm talking about is, all the world is a stage. So this is one of William Shakespeare's most famous lines, and it comes from his play, As You Like It. So the quote suggests that life itself can be seen as a theatrical performance. So, interestingly enough, I'm also training to be a performing hypnotist. So, I love the synchronicity of all of this because with each individual playing a unique role on the grand stage of existence, The idea that all the world is a stage might be something part of much larger. So, coming from a 5-1 manifester and from this unique way of interacting with the world around me, the question then arises, and this is based also from my linguistics, well, my one. The question arises, is all the world staged? Because as a professional linguist and my specialty being nonverbal communication, and also a master hypnotist, I'm seeing hypnosis everywhere. And I'm asking the question, is all the world staged? So this question can be interpreted in many ways and may not necessarily relate to your individual experience. However, we all have a unique way of interacting with the world around us. And this perspective raises questions about the nature of reality and whether everything we experience is part of some grand performance. You know, the famous Shakespeare quote, all the world's a stage. This comes to mind. It's like, was he trying to tell us something? Prompting more and deeper and further exploration into what this means for your energy type. What are you experiencing in your space of variations or in the matrix, the 3D space of time and movement? This concept that all the world is staged can be interpreted in many ways, and it could suggest that our lives are predetermined and scripted. Or it could mean that we each have a role to play in shaping our own destiny. So as we go through life and kind of look back, because hindsight is 2020, right? We get more clarity when we look back from a more neutral position, not a critical or one of these masks. The critical thinker, the criticism, self-criticism, judging others, judging self. Is our lives predetermined and scripted? And could it mean that we each have a role to play in our own destiny? So these beings that we meet along this path, do we exchange information on deeper levels? And I say, yes, we do. When we recognize that we are not these masks, that's when we begin to recognize this other space within us and trust it. So it may simply imply that life is full of drama or theatrics. Who knows? But if you want to go deeper down the rabbit hole, like I do, I'm a one. This is a great place to be because regardless of how you interpret this idea, and that's all it is, it's a theory, it's just going based on a theory. You know how I am with theories. It is important to explore how this quote resonates with your personal experience and beliefs. Question them, always question them. And it might offer some insights into how you navigate relationships or make decisions about your business, your career, your relationships, your finances. And it can hopefully drop seeds of reflection onto really focusing on these forces at work in society and how they impact your own life. So ultimately, only through introspection, thinking about these things, reflecting on these things, self meditation, self hypnosis, can you begin to really unravel this complex web of meanings behind such profound concepts like all the world's a stage. But in our current reality, if you look around, is it possible with AI and what images they're feeding us and what narrative they're feeding us? I can feel my energy. If I go to one side, I'm completely blind to the other side. And same, if I go to the other side, I'm completely blind to the left and vice versa. But if I stay in the middle, I see both sides. So in human design, this concept of not self, again, refers to behaviors or experiences that are not aligned with our individual's true nature and inner authority. And it is in this state that we operate from conditioned responses, fears, insecurities, and societal pressures rather than our own unique design. According to human design, this philosophy, each person has a specific energetic blueprint that is the energy behind their personality traits, their decision making process, and their overall life path. So when we deviate from this blueprint by trying to conform to external expectations or suppressing our natural tendencies, we create resistance. And then this struggle is an internal struggle and it will create struggle in our lives. The not self themes can manifest differently for each human design type, but generally it involves maybe a feeling of being stuck or out of alignment with your own true purpose. And just by recognizing when we're operating from our not self patterns and making conscious choices based on our inner authority instead of external influences, we can align more fully with our authentic selves and live a more fulfilling life. It's true. In human design, the not self refers to the aspects of our personality that are conditioned by external influences and do not align with our true nature. I can't say that enough. These parts, these aspects of you are not the true you. The secret, the secret is to understand when they're operating. These can include feelings of fear, doubts, anxieties, negative emotions that arise when we're not living in alignment with our design. So let's talk about how these themes manifest in each of the design types. Let's take, for example, manifestors. I can speak for manifestors. When a manifestor is moving and operating from their not self, anger, they're going to feel angry. And this is because they may perceive themselves as being blocked or controlled by others. And they may also act impulsively without considering the consequences. So become aware of these tendencies. And again, these are just general tendencies. You might be a different energy type and say, "Hey, I really resonate with that tendency." That's okay. Resonate with that tendency. Nothing here is written in stone. Generators who are out of alignment with their design may experience feelings of boredom or restlessness because they're doing work that does not fulfill them. They may also struggle to make decisions if they are seeking guidance from others instead of listening to their inner authority. And I'll tell you a secret generators shared with me. If you come from the sacral authority, listen for that sacral grunt. You'll have a, a no, a negative grunt, nah, nah. Or you'll have uh, a good, like, that's the way to go. That's a sacral response. So pay attention to those, and the not self is going to want to cover that up and say, who do you think you are? Whatever critical thoughts come and go, those kind of things. Then we have manifesting generators, and very similar to generators with manifestor qualities. In addition, you guys need to beware of overcommitting yourself. Before making decisions, get clear on what direction you want to go. Otherwise, you're going to find yourself spinning. So if you can relate to that, let me know. And projectors who are living their not self, they're going to feel more of a bitterness, a resentfulness toward those around them that they may feel have undervalued or ignored them. And projectors may also push themselves too hard. And this pushing of yourself is a generator conditioning because, you want to prove yourself worthy in a generator world, right? And many projectors are conditioned by this. So recognize when you start to really push yourself as a projector, what not self masks come up for you. Reflectors. Reflectors who are disconnected from their true nature may become overly sensitive and emotional because of absorbing everybody's energy around them. They also may struggle with decision making because they have difficulty assessing clarity or even accessing any kind of clarity within themselves until they've gone through a cycle to digest the clarity and uncover it themselves. So, understanding your human design and learning how you live in accordance with it can really help you avoid falling into patterns associated with your not self theme. So, the term not self in human design does refer to those aspects of our personality that are not in alignment with our true nature. And they're called parts. They're also called shadows. They come into play when we make decisions or behave or move from a space or a place of fear. This is conditioned, trying to please someone else, getting approval, or trying to be someone that we're not, and not knowing how to change it, not knowing how to be your authentic self. So each human design type has its own unique set of characteristics and tendencies that can manifest as not self themes. So, manifestors may struggle with control issues when they feel like their freedom is being threatened. Generators may fall into a victim mentality if they don't feel satisfied or fulfilled in their work. These are not you, these are not self themes. If you start to recognize you are experiencing these themes, pay attention. There is my generator, not self theme. And usually it's some kind of judging of yourself, judging of others around you, or judging of the situation. And I call my judge JJ. So JJE, the judge, jury, and executioner. That's my judge. And I recognize when thoughts of that not self theme, the judge, I recognize when that math comes in and it starts to muddy up how I see my reality. Once I recognize, oh, there's my judge, there's JJ, there's my judge, jury, and executioner, that is not me. Then I allow myself to be in this space of, first of all, recognizing it. That's it. Just be in the space of 10 seconds. Wow, I just recognized a huge not self. Every single one of the energy types has this archetype. This archetype is there for our survival. But these not self parts can also show up in common patterns. And again, I call these not self themes, I call them masks. And we have these masks that we take on. You go to work, you put on your work mask, you do your work thing. You go home, you put on your home mask. You go into a friendship, you put on your friendship mask. You go into this environment, you put on that mask. And so we have all of these masks, and we really believe, many of us believe all of these themes to be our true self. And this is not the case. We can look at our mask and say, oh, there's my judge. There is my victim. There is my procrastinator. There is my people pleaser. So there's my people pleaser. Take a moment to just sit with recognizing it for 10 seconds. This is a wonderful, wonderful place to be because we all have this judge. This part of us blinds us from our purpose. This part will judge you, others in all the situations, make you look at all the things and make up all excuses. And what you're not doing, that's right, what you're here to do, your purpose, your focus, awareness, and attention is taken off by having a mask put on. Isn't that counterintuitive? You have to take off the mask in order to get your focus, attention, awareness, this precious part of you, back. So, when we allow these negative patterns to take over our decision making process and behaviors, it will often lead to negative consequences. So, take a look back, such as blocking ourselves from success. You know, when you're in a negative pattern and you're making these decisions, how many times have you failed? Do your own research. Take a look back without judgment, without criticism, just so you can be right in the middle and say, oh, yeah, I succeeded there, but oh, yeah, I kind of failed there. Now I can take in the wisdom of that without the judge. This is a very powerful place to be. And we talk about a 4-step mechanism process that we initiate within you that becomes self-directed and self-healing. So living from not self conditioning blocks us from our authentic space that creates success, whatever that success looks like for you. And even if you're in a place where it doesn't look like success for you, find something inside that feels like success for you. Right here starts the process of your external world beginning to change. Because again, the mirror takes time to change, but the inner neurons, the inner neurons, you can change those in an instant. And that's the gift. All right, so here are some tips, I guess, for manifestors. As a 5-1 manifestor, you may feel like all the world is staged, which can lead to feelings of frustration or anger if things don't go according to plan. And when you notice yourself slipping into this mindset, take a step back and remind yourself that you have the power to initiate action without needing anyone's permission. Focus on your own inner authority and trust your gut instincts. And generators can often struggle with these feelings like they need to control everything around them in order to succeed. And if you find yourself slipping into this controller role, try shifting your focus toward what brings you joy and fulfillment rather than trying to force outcomes that don't align with your true desires. And, getting still, generators, might be a hard thing to do, but getting still and finding out what those desires are. And you can do that by asking why. Okay, I'm doing this. Why? Because of this. Why? Because of this. Why? Because of this. Get to your 5 whys. And projectors, you know, avoid that victimhood. You may feel that victimhood mode. You may feel going down that path of victimhood when you feel overlooked or undervalued. But this value has to come from within first. Get very clear on your values first and foremost, and not be authenticated or approved of by others around you, but it's a natural tendency of wanting others around you to value your work. So instead of that and what others aren't doing for you, focus on recognizing your own unique gifts and talents as a guide. Projectors are a natural guide. They really are for how best to share them in the world. And that's a wonderful space to be. And reflectors, you know, they may procrastinate because of fear. You know, everybody, single definitions are making decisions just like that. Generators, they're go, 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 go. But reflectors, they fear that any decision that they make will be the wrong one or won't ultimately bring them happiness or success. And then to avoid getting stuck in this pattern, allow yourself time because that thing might be here right now. It's also going to be here during the next moon cycle. So allow yourself time for reflection before making big decisions, but also trust your intuition once it's time to act. So the time between acting might be further apart, but trust when it's time to act. And then manifesting generators, this wonderful hybrid between manifestors and generators. You know, you got to, you can experience both tendencies and this towards controlling outcomes as well as impatience with wanting things to unfold naturally. It's not happening fast enough in its own time over time. Come on, let's go, let's go, let's go. We got shit to do. So, leading many people pleasers who get caught up in trying too hard to please everyone else and covering up what their own needs and experiences are. So, remember that following what lights you up is the key to your success, and trust that your unique energy will guide you toward what's right for you. All right. So, with all of that said, and the many masks of the not self, recognizing when your people pleaser is coming in. Oh, there's my people pleaser. There she is. Just take 10 seconds out to be in that space of just recognizing that. That creates this inner space, and that's where transformation happens. And in the meantime, I want to hear from you, and I want to know what you loved, and I want to know what you would love more of. And in the meantime, keep being amazing.